So let's dive in. You set the standards for how others treat you and how your life unfolds. Ooh, did that hit a couple chords on some people? Yeah, I know circumstances out of our control be happening, but we have control over a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. What do lowered standards look like in disguise? Overgiving, ignoring, red flags, accepting crumbs. Honey, we are not the slave. We are the master. Can I say that? We're not accepting crumbs anymore. We're done taking the crumbs. I want the hot meal of the whole chicken breast with the vegetables and the rice and the glass of something to drink. I want the whole thing. I want the whole spread. I'm done with the crumbs. Repeat after me. I am done with the crumbs. I'm done with the crumbs. Whew. A moment when I decided to walk away from a 7 in my life. Honestly, I've done this throughout my life, and I'm not going to lie, it's not easy. Every time it's not easy because it's an act of faith. When you walk away from something that, it's not like it's a 2, a 7 is like, it's good enough. It feels good enough. We've been here for a while. We can be comfortable with a 7 in our lives. Walking away from something comfortable can be so difficult. And it has been in my life because you don't know if what you really desire will come. But if you have in your spirit that you know the time has come to walk away from whatever this thing is, if you have this nagging feeling or thought that just keeps coming back of, well, what if? Like, what about the other side? What does the other side look like? It's probably time to walk away from that 7 in your life. Times that I've done that were something that I once loved. Maybe it was a 10. And then over time, it became a 7 in my life. We had outgrown it. It had become outdated in our evolution, like going on tour. That was the biggest blessing I could have ever asked for. And one day I realized, but I really truly moved to New York so that I could live in New York, not so that I could live on the road. I'd been on the road for 2 years, and it was time to give New York a chance. I did not know if Broadway would ever come, but it did. It did. And I had 2 days to make my Broadway debut. And then bam, we were there. But that was not promised to me when I put my notice in on the road. When I was working at Disney, that was a dream job. I loved it. And then one day I got dropped down to 1 day a week. I can't live on that. It became a 7 in my life. And I had to walk away. I walked away to move to New York City, and I did not know what was on the other side of that. But it all worked out. And again, one day I looked around and I had been dating a handful of men casually, and I was just killing time. They weren't bad guys. They were actually good guys. I just didn't feel like when my mouth do this, I know I'm bored. Shutting that down, not knowing if my true love, how I like to see that, would come into my life. It was hard, like saying goodbye to all the people who kept me comfortable. But I did. And it was only a handful of months before I met my husband, my soulmate, and the love of my life. And his name is Andrew. I love him so much. And something that we both agreed on right away is that if something is not a hell yes, then it's a no. And we had met on Zoom. We had been talking on Zoom for a couple weeks, and he invited me out to Oregon. I'm like, what? It's in the middle of a pandemic. How am I supposed to get to Oregon? Where am I going to stay? Is this logical? No, it was not logical. But my heart said, go. Give it a shot. And honestly, once I felt that in my gut, anybody who said, I don't want you to go, I removed them from my sphere immediately. When my gut knows to do something, I just do it. And I did. And I got on that plane and I met him and it was instant. It was instant. Within 3 days, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And before he even asked me to be his girlfriend, I'd already decided. I was like, I know guys my age, they don't put labels on anything. So I don't need a label, but I've decided I'm only going to be with him. I don't need him to feel that way on his end. I've already decided that on my end. But he had also on his end. And it truly was kismet. And I don't think that that is something that would have come into my life and would have really worked out if I kept my mind and my heart busy with all the sevens